Welcome to Nothing Finer. I'm your host, Rick Beach, along with Austin Allen. Hey, we got a good show planned out today. We got a phone call from Georgia, a former Georgia football player, Chad Gloer. He was on the football team 2006, 2010. I'm going to hear some good stories coming from him. He played at opposite ends of the Mark Richt era. He played at the Peak, 2007, number 2, won the Sugar Bowl against Hawaii. He was on the team when we went 6-7 and lost to Central Florida in the Liberty Bowl, I believe. So I think we'll get some good stories out of him. He played with, AJ Green, Matt Stafford, Knowshon Moreno. He's played with some great players, Rashad Jones. So I think we'll be able to get some good stories. And let's just take the phone call now. Chad, you there?
Yes.
Hey, buddy. You having a good morning?
Yes. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
All right, we are too. So we're talking most famous Gloer lately. Your dad was viral for the wake-up call to the Auburn fan. So was that pretty neat watching your dad become a YouTube sensation?
Yes. I remember waking up on a Sunday and somebody said, "Hey, man, your dad's going viral." And I said, "What do you mean?" So I'm sitting here assuming, that they maybe posted something that, went viral within our county. But I looked up and next thing you know, you got like the Migos reposting my dad. So it was pretty, it was pretty awesome for a while. I think, we definitely weren't expecting that kind of, just because it was so unplanned. But, yeah, my mom said we weren't allowed to post videos anymore.
Now, your dad played at the University of Georgia, correct?
Yes, my dad played 1 year. He was there in 1980. So, yeah, he has a national championship ring, and I was there 5 years.
Yeah.
And you don't have one.
You didn't get one. So when you were there, let's go to 2006, your first year on campus. What was it like playing with Knowshon Moreno as a red shirt out that year, and you was on defense? What was it like playing against Knowshon?
Yes, Knowshon, I found out his name really quickly. I'm a smaller guy. I know a lot of people probably don't know me, but I'm a small guy, but I was notorious for hitting people. And I remember it was one of the first practices. My dad actually came because we practiced in Sanford. It was like a scrimmage, and I went up and I hit him. And I'd never felt like that in my life. And I said, "Who is that guy?" And my dad said, "That's Knowshon Moreno. He's a 4-star from New Jersey." And I said, "Well, he's going to play here one day."
Yeah. Now, that year when he did redshirt, we had Thomas Brown, Danny Ware, and Craig Lumpkin. Do you think he was good enough to crack the starting lineup?
I think he was definitely good enough. Heck, that's the thing about Knowshon. If you would have played, 1-2 more years, he probably would have broke every record in the book, in my opinion. But we had so many good running backs that I can't really blame Rick for redshirting him. I would have wanted to keep him as long as possible, and I don't think anybody knew just how good he was going to end up being. I'm not going to say he came out of nowhere, but it's hard to take a guy out of high school and know how good he's going to be, even, with the ratings and the rivals and all that stuff.
Yeah, you can't see till they're on the field how really good they're going to be.
That's the truth. Yeah, there's practice players and, game time players, I think. And, Knowshon was both.
Yeah. Now, in 2007, the next season, we came in, we lost early to South Carolina, then to Tennessee. Tell us about the end of that season, the momentum we had, the dance party in Jacksonville, going into the blackout against Auburn. So what was the feeling like in the locker room and the sense of Athens during that time?
Yeah, that did 2007. That was the year I remember the most. I remember that early loss to South Carolina. I think it was like the second game maybe. And then, the momentum started to build. Like it was late. I wouldn't say it was later in the season because I remember we only lost 2 games that year. I think the Auburn game was at home, the blackout, and that was actually the first game I played was actually, the Sugar Bowl. It was the first play of that game. And then, I was 19 years old, about to, pee my pants on the sideline. But yeah, no, it was, and then it led into 2008. And of course, going into 2008, we were preseason number 1. We didn't end up, I think that was the year Saban became Nick Saban.
Yeah.
When they beat us, they were up 31-0.5, I think. But yeah, Saban is still doing Saban.
Yeah. Now, speaking of that game in 08, what was the coming into that Alabama game? And I know y'all played Arizona State the week before on the road, flight back. But what was the build-up going into that Blackout? Do you think it was too much hype going in? Or did y'all feel that as a team?
I think that I wouldn't say we were weren't prepared, but yeah, we weren't ready for that. I mean, it literally, I can't remember the last time UGA was down 31-0 by, and so it would say it was a wake up call, but yeah, that kind of disrupted everything. I think, yeah, because we were like 5-0 still. I'm pretty sure we were still, number 2 or number 3 in the country at that point. And yeah, it was kind of like a smack in the face. And, after that year ended, Stafford left early. And so, we still had a great team, but yeah, there was a lot of changes happening going into 2009.
Yeah. Now in 2009, we had Joe Cox. Y'all had Joe Cox, playing quarterback. Do you think could Murray have taken that job if he had the red shirt taken off of him?
I think so. I mean, I probably have a biased opinion, but Aaron Murray is my favorite quarterback ever. I just love him as a person, and he's the type of guy that you want to be going into a game with, just because he's willing to do anything to get a first down.
Yeah. So you spoke earlier about your dad playing at Georgia. When you grew up, did you grow up a Georgia fan?
Absolutely not. I'm the middle child, so my family was all Georgia growing up, and I grew up about an hour and a half away from Auburn. And so I've made more trips to Jordan-Hare than I ever did to Sanford. And, I actually had planned on going to Auburn.
What happened with that? And Tuberville would have been the coach. So what happened with getting that?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. They just didn't give me the time of day. I don't blame them. I mean, I'm 5'10" on a good day. And, and so, yeah, I don't know. I ended up going to UGA because it was in state. And I didn't want to, do the out of state. And I had a lot of chips on my shoulder. So all my best games were when we played Auburn.
Including the year the Cam Newton season.
Oh yeah, dang, yeah, Cam Newton. Probably, I still will call him the most dominant football player that ever played. For one season, I would say. Oh yeah, he was a stud for sure that season. Now that game, what can you tell us about the incident that happened with Nick Fairley and Aaron Murray towards the end of the game? Yeah, I just I remember that because there was about 30 or 40 of us that ran off the sidelines. But it just got out of hand, and he definitely, and even I had friends, who not only go to Auburn, but a couple on the team, and they won't even deny that what he did was, dirty. Like he just was, going the extra mile to, and I think he was really trying to hurt him. And I think a lot of it didn't really sit well with us, obviously, because at that point we're losing, and we're like, we have nothing to lose. And we weren't having the best season in 2010 either. So I think that that was a rough year for us.
Yeah, hey, that was your last season. Well, I saw you as 2009 SEC Academic Honor Roll. What did you major in at Georgia?
I ended up majoring in risk management and insurance. If you would have asked me that in 2007 or 8, I would have had no idea. I literally was going to school to play football, and it was kind of funny because most walk-ons who end up playing at UGA get in. They're already in the school, and I couldn't. Get into the school academically initially, and they wouldn't give me a scholarship. So I was like, wait, I ended up getting a preferred walk-on. So it means I guess it means hey, you're not that smart and you're not that athletic, but we want you to come play for this. And I'm like, all right, cool.
And one last question before I let you go, Chad. You wore the number 47 the last couple of seasons at Georgia. How'd you come about getting that jersey, and what did it mean wearing the number 47 at University of Georgia?
That's a great question. They approached me, I think it was 2009. It was right. A guy named Andrew Williams was wearing number 47, and he, that was his last year. And I I actually said, no, I don't want it because I don't deserve it. I said, first of all, this number should be retired from David Pollock.
Yeah.
And so I really liked 17. And then, so that was the first time I had wore 17 was in the Sugar Bowl. So initially it was 16. Long story, but yeah. So when Rantavius Wooten was coming in EGA, apparently, he wanted 17, and they're like, "Dude, you got to give it up." And I'm like, "Dang it!" So I had to go up to Coach John Favers and say, "Hey, can I be number 47?" And yeah, he actually wasn't happy about it. I had declined it initially, but. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was really cool. I mean, when I say really cool, I mean, it was, I didn't really even realize, just how meaningful it was till probably after I left UGA. The fact that I did get to wear number 47, just the significance of what it means, when it comes to David Pollock and everything he did at UGA.
Yeah, for those that don't know, John Fabris was the defensive ends coach at Georgia and special team. So for the defensive ends coach to offer the number 47 to a player, it has to be a very meaningful moment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And John Favrish, he was definitely my favorite coach that I ever had the chance to meet or play for.
All right. Well, Chad, that's all the time we're going to have right now. I'll give you a call later on. You cool with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for having me on, Rick.
Hey, we appreciate you coming on.
All right.
Later.
Have a good one.
Well, that's pretty good. Austin, a lot of insight we got on that.
Yeah, that was good.
Inside info from 2006. I've always wanted, that was the peak of the Georgia fan, especially the modern Georgia fan.
Yeah, it was Mark Richt's best.
You get that
years.
The 06, the ending of that season, winning at number 5 Auburn. We beat a ranked Georgia Tech, won Virginia Tech in the Peach Bowl.
Yeah. We
had the momentum. Then 07 started kind of bad. We had the loss with South Carolina, the Tony Wilson.
Yeah, but at the end of that year, we ended up,
and it was we haven't
probably
had that
the best
feeling.
team in the country at that point.
Yeah, and we haven't had that feeling of until recently.
Very recently.
Coming into 08. And that's why Georgia fans are real hesitant to get excited about 2019 is because of what happened in 2008 with, the hype, the preseason number 1, the Stafford. We had all this coming in. Then Alabama blew it up in September. Yeah. And I don't think the fan base has really recovered. It's apparent when they talk about the black jerseys. And the national media hasn't recovered because yet again, ESPN came out with the each position group, top 10 schools in each position group.
Yeah.
Georgia notorious for being RBU. We're running back U.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. ESPN comes up, and Austin, you dove into it and look at the method they came up with this, but Georgia wasn't even in the top 10. So what do they use to come up with RBU?
No, they didn't even put us in the top 10, and they ended up giving the nod to Bama, which is, you can't be mad about that. But what their formula kind of was based on is it goes all the way back to the beginning of the BCS era, which is 98, which is kind of weird to me because that's such a long stretch. That's over, 20 years worth of football, and a lot of things have changed since then, So if it was up to me, I think they could have went back, only 10 years. I think that's a better representation of what modern RBU would be, modern football, Yeah. But they also they wanted to use, I guess what they're saying is talent that was getting put on the field. So in just that aspect alone, you think Georgia would have cracked the top 10 just based off what they've had since Knowshon Moreno.
Yeah, you can take since Knowshon.
But then, it's just – so ESPN chalked it up to as us not having a slow start to the beginning of the last decade is what they said kept us out of the top 10, which is, I guess you could say 2001, 2002, and pretty much to 06, Georgia didn't have a superstar running back. But, there were still 1,000-yard guys on the team.
Well, you go from 92 to 2002, we didn't have any 1,000-yard rushers.
Right.
So you come in 02 with Musa. But you look at since 07, we talked about Knowshon, what a stud he was.
Yeah, Knowshon he was a prolific guy, man.
He had 2 seasons at 1,000. Todd Gurley had 1. Nick Chubb had 2. Sony had 2. Elijah Holyfield had 1. DeAndre Swift had 1. Almost got to think he's going to have another season of at least 1,000 yards.
And then while you're sitting here,
year.
We got Zamir White hasn't even took a snap yet and came in as one of the best backs in the country.
So maybe if they started in 08 to now, we'd be in the top 3. Because Bama would still have to be out there because Mark Ingram.
Yeah, well, you still got to, Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, Trent Richardson.
But to say Wisconsin, I think they were in the top 3.
Yeah, that was
that's just as asinine to me. Is we talk about it all the time, is the problems that G on the helmet and not a crimson helmet or not
that's it.
a Trojan and USC. And it gets.
But ESPN did name us LBU, so
and
which I don't know how they came up with that. But I mean, we've had some good linebackers.
Well, you got to look at the amount of talent taken.
Yeah,
But to me, it goes back to Alec Ogletree, but they don't go since '98.
98.
I mean, Boss Bailey was drafted, but he didn't make an impact in the league. So I mean, I don't know.
Well, you could go back to 07 with Rennie Curran. Kind of stretch it from that.
But you don't really see anybody that made an impact in the NFL at linebacker.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't think that's really what they was trying to quantify it with. But either way, Georgia running backs got robbed.
Yeah. Yet again, another list and another robbery for the University of Georgia.
Yep.
Did you see the Georgia Notre Dame tickets?
Yeah.
Since they announced it's an 8:00 kickoff, they made that announcement.
8 o'clock on CBS.
You can get one ticket, section 132, which is behind the Georgia bench on like the 45-yard line.
Yeah.
For $2,295. One ticket. I cannot remember a Sanford Stadium game ever being this anticipated. Or I can. In 08, the Bama game, highly anticipated. Everybody's, excited about the game. But tickets were nowhere near this level.
Nah. I mean, you could buy SEC championship tickets right when they come out for much cheaper than that. It's $22.95. That's crazy.
That's way up. The SEC championship. I mean, that's national championship.
So do you think? Do you think people are trying to scalp theirs out, or have you heard any rumors of that going around?
I do think people are going to sell their tickets, but the buzz on social media is Georgia fans. It's a small pocket because most people just got a little bit of sense thinking about it. They're not going to. It ain't Notre Dame fans coming to take over Sanford,
right? Well, the ones who are coming already got their ticket anyway.
They got it through.
They're not going to make the plane trip without having.
So I think it's mostly Georgia fans looking to get in the door for this monumental game. It's a historical matchup, and when we went to Notre Dame, Georgia fans wanted to go for the same reason. So the Georgia fans that didn't make that trip want to make this one right here, and I don't fear Notre Dame taking over Sanford Stadium. I don't.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So, that's not even
if they
mind.
sold some, I mean, they still wouldn't be but a corner of the end zone,
Yeah, I mean, they'll have the upper deck and they'll have their pocket over there in the 101, but that's all they're going to have. I don't see them. Now, there'll be a spread out like any road game, but I don't see them taking over Sanford Stadium. And I really, if you're a Georgia fan and you want to make up your ticket money right here, here's your chance. But I see it. I went to the Sanford game, Austin Peay game, Middle Tennessee. I've been to Western Carolina. I go to all them games for this right here. I'm not going to miss this game and go to those.
Right.
And I think a lot of Georgia fans look at it that way of going, I've sat through some, the Louisiana Lafayettes, Louisiana Monroes.
Got to go to this one.
I'm not going to miss the Notre Dame game for the opportunity. So, I kind of look at it that way. And I think, the most Georgia fans do look at it that way. We're finally being rewarded. And since Kirby come in, that reward is going to get every year.
Yeah.
Finally getting that in the schedule with Virginia and Atlanta next year. And then we have like Oregon. Then we start the home and homes of Florida State, UCLA.
I just seen this little nugget yesterday. What do you think about some whispers of Yale in 2029? Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, I read about it and the film that came out wanting them to do it for the 100-year Sanford Stadium. But I don't know if that'd be a good idea because Ivy League school, I think they're a little bit different than Mercer. I mean, it's a little, you're not even bringing in the talent of a Mercer. You're bringing in lesser, in my opinion, on football talent. So I don't know how it'd be beneficial or how it'd be, it could be a safety issue coming in.
Right, because Yale doesn't need the money like a Lafayette or whatever might, No. But it is cool, I mean, because you look at the poster right there, it's a nice chunk of history.
1929,
it's interesting to me. I'd like to see if it ends up playing out or what.
If things are different then, say Ivy League steps up their football game or something, but I don't see it being beneficial to me personally.
Either teams.
I like to see Georgia play small Georgia schools. I like to see the Georgia State, the Mercer. I'd like to see them play Georgia, and Georgia give the money to other Georgia schools and help build them up.
Right. Which
I know Georgia State is, they're in the Sun Belt, they're in the FBS, but I think it'd be good for Georgia to pay back the smaller Georgia schools and help build them up. But it seems we give it to Idaho State and the small Louisiana schools more often. And I just, it'd just be neat to see that.
Yeah. And helping build Georgia State up would be pretty cool because it'd be a kind of a way to jab at Tech a little bit, for saying, you got to split Atlanta with State now, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're worried about Georgia ain't worried about Tech taking over the state because Tech's got to get Atlanta back. Well, Georgia runs it.
Yeah.
Then Georgia State slides in.
Yeah, Georgia Southern comes in there and gets guys too.
And Georgia Southern, I thought they'd be a little bit better by now, but they've had the coach turmoil the last. I think the
they
Tyson
need some
Summers hire set them back.
continuity. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I can see Georgia Southern building up into a really good team.
Yeah. They have been historically before, so.
And we used to play them every 4 years. That ended the year it went to overtime. That was the last time we played them, and they didn't re-up that one. That game should have never went to overtime. 2015 was a circus in Athens.
Yeah, it was. The day we took the 38-10 or whatever it was, lost to Bama, then I think a majority of the fan base knew it was over with for Mark Richt at that point, and we was pivoting to see who was going to be the guy, you know.
Yeah, I think that season, the beginning of the end was a Schottenheimer hire.
Yeah.
I think when that happened, it just flipped the program. It was Mark Richt didn't have his hands in anything. At least with Bobo, it kind of felt Bobo was in control of the offense, and it felt like when Schottenheimer came in, things kind of went haywire. And then you had the Pruitt stuff going on, the behind-the-scenes stuff. There's been articles written about it with the division.
Yeah, Pruitt was kind of undermining some things, so to say. But
I think Pruitt thought he was going to get the head coaching job.
Yeah,
and he was positioning for that. And who's to say if South Carolina didn't have their coach issue, which led to them talking to Kirby, which led to us firing?
Yeah,
we don't know how it would have worked out.
Yeah.
And if Rick was there, we'd be in the top 10 every year. Preseason top 10.
Right.
We'd have
You'd be in the same spot we always were with him every time.
But the problem was then we was in fear of falling further behind, though.
Right.
Because how would Rick do against a Dan Mullen?
Yeah.
You know, and Kirby's taking this program from where we were in 2015 and flipped the script so quick.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't just flip it for Georgia, the whole East. We've turned the East over, and we dominate now. The last 2 seasons, 12-0. Haven't had a game within 14 points. And the East is actually – you compare it to the West, we're not as top dominant, but 1 through 7, the East is just as good as the West. I'd take a Vanderbilt and a Missouri over Arkansas and Ole Miss any day.
Yeah, definitely. It's just, you know, looking back on that time, it was a tumultuous time to say the least. And I think Georgia fans are still kind of holding on to that fear a little bit. But I think the Kirby era is going to change things real fast.
It's going to take winning before the fan base can get fully where we don't feel the other shoe's going to fall, and that's where Georgia's at. And it ain't just with Georgia. What happened with the Falcons in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Just, you know, and then for that to happen, 9 months, 8 months, 10 months later with Georgia in the national championship, that, you know, we are a fan base that's, you know, we're a little hesitant to get full and excited because we know it ain't far till that other shoe fall. But you know, that different levels, different devils aspect, we're on a different level than we were in 2015. We're on a different level than we were in 2008.
Oh, yeah.
Talent-wise, we're better than we've ever been. We're deeper than we ever been. We, you know, in 8, we had Stafford, Knowshon, A.J. Green. But where you at all the way down? And now we got these 4- and 5-star solid players.
Yeah, 3 deep at every position.
3 deeps. We can rotate them in. And it used to be Alabama could do that. 2012, that's what cost us the game with Bama. Is they just kept running because we couldn't rotate defensive linemen in there.
We're so deep, you ask people who they think the best linebacker is going to be, and everybody's got a different name.
There's 6 people.
Because there's tons of guys who every one of them could be the guy.
Do you want to go for a guy that's real smart, knows the system? Then you want to think Tay Crowder. You want to go for talent? You got to look at Nakobe Dean. You got to look at potential. You look at Amani Rice.
Right.
There's so many. That's just the inside. You go outside, it expands even more because you know you bring in a Nolan Smith who could put his hand in the dirt or stand up and play on the outside, and you already got a Walter Grant who's being groomed for something like this. So it's amazing at the amount of talent that's in Athens. We've never seen it, and that's why personally, I can get a little more excited than I used to get. But here we are with inside 5 weeks till kickoff, and to be honest, I'm getting a case of what I call the Munsons, where I start getting worried about everything.
Yeah.
And all summer I've been just as excited as I can get. Now we're within 5 weeks. I look at the Notre Dame game and saying, well, what if we do hiccup there? What if we hiccup against A&M? And I'm hoping to see with Kirby this year is we don't have that hiccup. You know, he's had one every season, and, you know, Rick used to have one every season, then one led to 2, and so on and so forth. But if we can avoid that, the fan base can finally get, like Clemson's fan base finally did when they quit Clemsoning, and, you know, fully go all in on we're going to be okay. But like I said, closer to kickoff, the more I feel the butterflies as a fan saying, Well, Notre Dame did go to the playoffs last year. What if they are better than the Notre Dame teams of the past? We beat them last time 20-19.
Right.
That's not exactly whipping them up.
No.
So you got to think, I'm trying not to get too excited, but I think that's from years and years and years of getting excited just to be let down.
Yeah, well, let's just know and respect your opponent, too, at the same time. I mean, nobody wants to sleep on Notre Dame, because when you do, that's when you'll mess around and get beat. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know how good Ian Book is at quarterback for Notre Dame. I really don't. I don't know if he's an SEC or a national championship type quarterback. They made it to the Final Four. They got run off the field by Clemson, but 2 weeks later, so did Alabama. Right. So is that really a knock on Notre Dame, or is Notre Dame? That's where, like when I was saying the Munsons, I look at this stuff. Mm-hmm. That's what starts playing in my head. What if Notre Dame's better than any Notre Dame team they've had, and here lately it's like expected Georgia wins by 20 points.
Yeah.
And so if Georgia wins 20-17, is that going to be, oh crap, Georgia's not as good as we thought, or are people going to look at it as, well, Notre Dame's a pretty good team. We escaped it with a win.
Yeah.
And keep on going. So that's, like I said, the closer we get, you'll notice I'll change as my fan. I get more nervous about these things closer they get. In game week, I'll be a nervous wreck about it. And it's called the Munsons. Larry Munson was notorious. Vince Dooley kicked him off the bus and put him on another bus from Vince Dooley because Munson just kept asking questions, worrying about that day's, we ain't going, they're too big up front. They got too much talent. And Vince had to tell him to get on another bus because he just worried him to death about it. And I kind of feel that's the fan coming out of Munson. And that's how I feel sometimes is I'll start looking at people's film and start thinking, oh, man, they got this and we don't have that. We're hurt here. They're strong there. And, I already feel that way with Notre Dame, and we're still 9 weeks away from that game.
Yeah.
So this week, Austin was wearing the Gator hat again. I got the 1980 shirt from the76.com. That's the letters, not the numbers, the76.com. This week, we got a promo code. Put in the promo code FINER where it asks for it, and you'll get 10% off your order. Go get these shirts feel great. The hats feel great. They're real cool shirts. They got, if you want to get a shirt going to a Braves game.
Yeah, they got Brave stuff. They got other stuff. Colleges.
If you're unfortunate to have a family member that likes Auburn, you can get an Auburn shirt there. So you can get Auburn. They got some Alabama. If you want to get a gag gift, you can buy an Alabama shirt. So they got all kind of stuff there. Check it out. And remember, FINER in the promo code. Austin, you want to end with anything today?
I just one more thing. How excited are you about Kendall Milton tonight?
Yeah, Kendall Milton. That's 8:00. That's watch us at 7. Then when y'all get done, you can flip it over to CBS Sports. Watch Kendall Milton, and really and truly, I think he's going to be a Georgia commit. I really don't have any doubt in my mind.
Number 2 running back in the nation.
And I think we're going to get even more. This weekend was we didn't get into that, but it was a lot of good stuff. Social media, Twitter at NothingFinerPod. You can go to Facebook.com/NothingFinerPod. We got a website. Really like y'all to go there. Read up on the crew, NothingFinerPod.com. YouTube, you can search Nothing Finer Pod. Please give us a subscription. We need a like. Hit the bell to get a notification. We're on SoundCloud. Just search Nothing Finer Pod. We're going to push that name out. We're going to really try to get it out there. That's all we got. God bless. Go Dogs.
You'll find me somewhere out under, fishing in a